as well, because it's filled with these twisting, winding paths. I'll tell you a little bit about why it's been designed like that as we go. These gardens opened in the year 1846. They're 177 years old, and the idea is to create an open-air living museum showcasing plant life and trees from around the world. These gardens are established on the traditional and ancestral land of the people of the Kulin Nation. So before we do start our drive, on behalf of the Royal Botanic Gardens Victoria, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are on and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Alright, we'll make a start.
جولة بالحديقة هو اسمها هياخدكم جولة وبعدين حكى انه هي الحديقة كانت تأسست وهتشوفوا.
Did you say 194?
94.
94.
Yeah, 94.
It will take days to see that.
Yeah, it does take a few trips to kind of visit. So when these gardens first opened, the design was completely different to what it is now, but it all changed 30 years after they opened in the 1870s. William Guilfoyle took over as director, and he put in place these winding paths that we'll drive around today. He put in big open space lawns where people could enjoy picnics. William Guilfoyle's idea was people would come and walk these winding paths and they'd get totally lost. They'd lose all sense of direction, wouldn't be able to work out where they're going, and that would mean all visitors that came here would spend hours walking around trying to find the exits. So if you get a little bit confused about where we're going today, that's just all part of our plan. We're trying to keep you here as long as possible. So heading down past our children's garden now, the entrance is just here on the right hand side. Go head through that gate. Popular spot for families, the children's garden. There is a fence line that runs all the way around. And the gates do have child locks on them as well. So that way parents can take their little ones in there, let them run around and have a bit of fun. And that way they're not going to escape and get out into the big 94 kids.
لا تستكري التصوير لوقت ما تخلص الفتلة كلها، أنت مصوري من عندك وأنا بصور من عندي.
Our first director of the gardens was a man called Ferdinand von Mueller. He was a botanist, and he introduced a lot of the plants and trees that we have from all over the world. Still here today. He also opened up our National Herbarium of Victoria, the building that you see coming up here on the right. Before I tell you a bit more about the herbarium though, I will point out this wall. Just watch your feet everybody as we head through. Feet in the bus. Feet in the bus. Feet in the bus. Watch your foot. Thank you. This lovely tree here we have, this is from Argentina. So this is the national tree of Argentina, and they'll produce some lovely red flowers, which are the red flowers of Argentina as well. A lot of people call this the Harry Potter tree. Hi folks, we'll just make sure the noise level is a bit low, just so everybody on the bus can hear. So this area here on our right, this is called Oak Lawn. 40 different types of oak trees growing here. And you might notice we've got a fallen down one there. I'll tell you the story of that on the way back through. These oaks are normally found in either Europe or North America. And what we find here is they grow faster here in Melbourne. And the reason for that is because our winters aren't as cold as Europe and North America. Oak trees, they normally lay dormant during winter months. But the oak trees here, They find our winters aren't cold at all, and they just continue to grow all year round. That's why they're growing much faster.
ايه عم يمشي عم يدورنا. ايه شوي شوي ويمشي بابا عشان يدورنا.
This collection garden bed here on our left, this is the Southern African collection. So all these plants were originally only found in Southern Africa, but now they are found all throughout the world. And a big part of that is because these are really easy to grow plants, low maintenance, and you find them, a lot of people grow them in their gardens around the world. If you are a keen gardener yourself, you might even have some of these plants growing in your garden at home. Have some great colours here at the moment. So we've got three interesting trees just out here on the left. A lovely little yellow one, that's from Japan. That's called a gilt leaf spindle tree. And that stays that yellow colour all year round. Just behind that, that lovely purple one, that's the jacaranda. They're from South America originally, but you do often find a lot of these growing in Australia because there's lovely purple leaves. And then right next, living with these, this big tall green one called a bunya pine. They'll actually produce cones and drop them to the ground. About every 3 years they produce cones. The bad news is though, those cones can be the size of watermelons and weigh up to 10 kilos. So when they're dropping out of the tree, it's a bit dangerous. We've got to section that area off just to make sure no one's walking underneath it. So we'll take you through our rainforest section next. We call this Fern Gully. And one thing you might notice as soon as we head in here, you might feel a lovely cool breeze coming in through the bus. It always does stay a few degrees colder than the actual temperature in here. So this is a great place to walk through on a really warm day. This is one of our oldest collections. And the idea behind it was to try and recreate the rainforests that are found in northern Australia. Lots of ferns and palms, lots of lovely pathways to walk through. Nice little areas to sit down and relax as well. Another one of our trees that's producing lovely colours at the moment, this red one here out on the left. It's called the flame tree. It grows here in Australia. We do have a few cycads that you might notice on our drive today. We've got one here coming up on the left. So cycads will produce lovely cones in the middle. Actually, cycads have been on the planet for millions of years, been around since the time of the dinosaurs. They look exactly the same now as they did back then. Lovely tree here, just on our left here. It's called a canuka or a water gum. You find these growing along the east coast of Australia. Really lovely the way they kind of spread out. This one here is 120 years old. Just over here on our right hand side, this is our New Zealand collection. So most of the plants found in New Zealand don't grow anywhere else in the world. It's just because the plants have grown and evolved in their own special way on the island. These really like our climate here that we have in Melbourne, but you would struggle to grow these in much more warmer areas. We have 3 lakes on this 94 acres. This is the first one we'll pass by, called Ninfea Lily Lake.
حطي تحديد موقع لانه رجع لهون.
حطي شمس حدا ممكن يحط تحديد موقع.
Then our New Zealand collection continues on our right as well.
سندريلا مطلعين معنا.
We'll pass by another one of these water gums or canucas. This one here we're passing by, same age as the other one we saw earlier, 120 years old. Now we'll head past our Australian section. First of all, very popular Australian plant here, this blue, green, silvery one called the silver-leafed mountain gum. It's got a really lovely smell of eucalyptus to it. Florists around the world love to use those. Then we jump across the path. This is our Australian forest walk. Goes along for 500 metres, travelling all the way back to the herbarium. There are some pathways that go through the middle which you can walk through. You might even feel a cool breeze coming out of this section as well.
عادي.
Then lastly on our Australian section we've got eucalypt lawn, so 20 different types of eucalypt trees growing here. We don't get any koalas coming in here and eating these because we're not close by any forests. Might notice some plastic wrap around some of the tree trunks. Younger and older trees need some protection from the possums that we have living here. So when we put that wrap around the tree trunks, the possums can't climb up the tree and damage them. Then we're going to make our way past our very own volcano here on the right. Now it isn't a real volcano, it's designed to look like a volcano and it fills up with water. So it collects rainwater and stormwater and we pump up the water from the lakes here as well. We've got pipes and irrigation underneath the ground. The water gets pumped out to a treatment plant. It's treated to get the germs out of it. And then we can recycle and reuse that water back on the plant. Then just out on our other side we've got the start of our arid garden, which then does continue to go up our volcano as well. 3,000 cacti from 400 different species you'll find growing here. And at the moment you might notice some of them are starting to produce some lovely flowers as we go past, especially just coming up here on our left hand side. Some lovely red flowers on this one.
Look at that.
حش الفردتين تبعك شحاطتك انت.
قلت لها هيك وقتي رح ترجعي من دون شحاطك، قلت لها في انت يا احتياطي.
والله العظيم ما في جنس الاحترام.
We'll get a lovely view of the Melbourne city skyline here.
لا بس هلا ماما عم صور انا هون.
Just as a bit of a reference as well, we're now located right over at the opposite side of the gardens from where we started our tour, just in case you're feeling a little bit lost.
لما تلعبي على الالوان حديقه بتجنن ان شاء الله. خلص اتركيهم حلوين الالوان.
والله انا مش هستوعب.
زرعتها
You need about 2 days to see it.
All the plants in the garden bed over here on the right are from North America, and in particular the much more warmer and drier regions. They grow quite well here.
Arizona?
More Californian. Yeah,
What part? Northern? I think Southern California.
yeah, Southern California. So it was called our Californian collection, but we've changed it to the North American
We are
triangle.
home.
صوري من
We
عندك.
are home. That's our
صوري يا
home.
شجري.
So one of the more interesting trees we have growing on the grounds is this one just we're passing by here on the left, called a Moreton Bay fig. These grow in Australia. They grow absolutely huge. And what they actually do is as they grow, they drop these aerial roots you see coming down off the branches. They continue to grow down into the ground. They harden and swell, and then they become part of the tree trunk. So this one here is trying to make its tree trunk bigger, so that it can even grow bigger than what it is. You need to be a little bit careful where you plant these, because those aerial roots can wrap around other plants and trees and completely take them over.
How old is this tree?
So this one here, this one's only about 90 years old, but these trees can live till about 300, so it's quite young.
Quite young.
That's why it's kind of still extending itself now. If you like roses, you are in luck. We're heading past our rose collection here. And we say November is the best time to come and visit this section because they're all out in flower. You might even get some lovely rose smells coming in through the bus as we go past. And this rocky section, this is called the grotto. The plants in here, they don't need much space at all, and they like to grow in rocky areas. And you might see some more of the Melbourne city skyline popping out from the trees along here.
استمتعوا طلعناكم دفعناكم مصاري تنبسطوا والله العظيم ارفع حالنا
لا إيمان.
You do? That's our last tour for the day.
Oh, next week. Thank you.
هاي.
Just at the bottom of the lawn area here, you might notice another one of our lakes. That's the biggest of the three, called Ornamental Lake, covering 10 acres. We'll go right down there soon. We'll have a look at that. See the islands in the middle. Maybe you can see some of the bird life that live down there as well.
فرجي اللي هنيك بتطلعي عليها.
بابا انت حكيت
شام والله لا بنزع مساكي ها.
Good evening, good evening. It's a bad evening. والله so شباب
والله bad evening.
فيكم it's bad evening.
بتفهموا اللي ما فهم يعني.
شو؟ لا هي بترجمت رح يفهمها سوف يصبح مساءك سيء.
Just down at the bottom of the hill, we've got some fig trees that are normally found in the jungles of Papua New Guinea. They have really big green leaves to them. Firstly, you might notice one here on the right, but we'll spin around the corner and we'll get a much better view of the one on the left here. Called the Ficus damaropsis is the official name, although it's often called the dinner plate fig. And they call it that because they say the leaves are so big you could use them for dinner plates. Another one here on the other side as well. Sometimes they're grown in pots and kept indoors because they've got those really big, lovely green leaves. The oldest trees we have on the grounds are called river red gums. They're a type of eucalypt. All our river red gums have been here long before the gardens were. So we've got one coming up here on the right with the plastic wrap around it. halfway up. This is our oldest tree we have. 350 years old, this tree. Still growing strong, still doing well. The plastics to stop the possums quite. Yeah, they've got big sharp claws. Now we call this tree the lion's head tree because you might notice in one of these growths coming out of the trunk, one of them might look a little bit like a lion's head, kind of the second one up from the ground. Let's see a bit of a mane and a bit of a lion's face. It's a little sneak peek of our lake there, but we will continue on. We'll get a nicer view further up. You might notice some purple taps sticking out of the garden beds along this path. And you might see some water tanks hidden behind the trees. So those tanks, that's our water treatment plant. That's where all that water from the volcano gets pumped to. And then once that water's treated, it then comes out of these purple taps. It's used on our plants. Have another one of these dinner plate figs from Papua New Guinea on the corner here. You can see these big figs it produces as well. We can't eat these figs, unfortunately. There's special wasps that they have in New Guinea that come and pollinate the figs and make them edible. We don't get those wasps here. We'll now go down and get a lovely view of the big 10-acre ornamental lake. We'll be able to see the islands that are in the middle of it as well. A lot of these islands people aren't able to walk on. They're nice safe havens for our wildlife, especially the birds, so they can go over there and build their nests, lay their eggs. That way they won't be disturbed by other people. One of these islands you can walk on. That's the one furthest across from us over there. That's called Long Island. And what they've done over there is they've replanted all the Australian vegetation to try and recreate what this whole space would have once looked like before the gardens were put here. And originally this whole area was kind of a wetlands. So we're trying to recreate that over there.
هلا بنرجع لهون ايه حصوان عشان حطوا تحديد الموقع لهون.
Some more lovely colour here on our left. Got the bougainvillea, which is just starting to come out to flower. This is from South America as well.
في منظر الليلة.
Really well here. Lovely, beautiful coloured flowers. South America, yeah. They look great, but you've got to be careful when you plant these as well because they can grow over other trees and take them over as well. Really hard to kind of contain. Then we've got our third and final lake here. This is where you'll find a lot of the bird life. One of the water birds, the ducks.
أنا عم صور هون.
Overlooking Central Lake is our sensory garden that's coming up here on our right. This is like our little wellness area. This garden will help you feel nice and calm and relaxed. You come and wander the parks, or you can take a seat on the benches in here. Some really lovely calming smells and some really beautiful coloured flowers in here. Then just out on the other side you'll see a big huge tree trunk here. This belongs to our tallest tree in the gardens. Now you might not be able to see the top of this tree because we've got the roof in the way, but you can definitely see how huge this tree trunk is. It stands at 44 metres tall. It's called a Taxodium macronata. It's 170 years old. And you could just imagine, with the tree trunk that size, what that root system under the ground must be like, supporting it.
نعم.
So we'll make our way past another one of these really big Moreton Bay fig trees, just over here on the left this time. But this one you'll notice it's not really dropping those aerial roots down from the other one, like the other one was. This one's a bit older, it's more established. And what they've actually done is trimmed back this tree a bit as well, because I was really worried those aerial roots were going to come around and take over all the other plant life here.
Japan.
So we'll start making our way back now, and as we do, some things might start looking a little bit familiar. You might spot the yellow Japanese spindle tree once again, and the purple jacaranda, the big bunya that drops those massive kites. Got our Southern African collection again on the right, which we're passing by. You might see another one of these coral trees from Argentina over there on the right as well. It's from the bamboo's from China, actually. Yeah, so it's actually all. So they've just started to flower the bamboo, and when they flower, that means they're dying. So we're going to have to take all this out and replant it. So heading back past Oak Lawn again, I'll tell you the story of our fallen down oak tree, which we'll see again shortly. It was a 150-year-old white oak. Half of the tree fell down 4 years ago. The rest of the tree was chopped down. And instead of taking this tree off to the wood chipper and turning it into wood chips to be used on the garden beds, what they did instead is they left the chopped off branches there, manoeuvred them around, then they called in some woodworkers, and they came in with their tools and they carved benches and seats into these branches. So now that's a great space where people can sit down and enjoy that area. It's another way of how we can recycle a tree once it's come to the end of its life. So we'll just make our way back, pass through our bollards again. We'll just get everyone to watch your fingers and toes as we head through.
لسانكم ضبوا عليكم.
So our team who take care of the children's garden have cut some shapes into the bushes at the entrance, which we're just about to pass here. Now these shapes represent different animals, but it's all up to your own imagination about what you think these animals could be. There's no right or wrong answer. And before we finish, I will show you a nice close-up of one of these bottle trees I was telling you about a bit earlier. Just over here on the right, you can see it's almost got a round trunk to it there. So they'll suck up the water and store them in their trunk, giving them that really swell look. And here we are back to where we started. So thank you for coming on the Explorer Bus with me today. Hopefully that's given you a lovely overview of the 94 acres. We are open until 7:30 this evening, so if you did wish to wander through and explore a little bit more on foot, you've still got plenty of time to do so. And I do have some maps up here at the front of the bus if you'd like to collect one of them. I'll just pop the brakes on for you. There we go, everybody. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.